Welcome, one and all, to another brand new episode of Undisputed Nerds.
Woo, woo, yeah, woo, 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 yeah, woo, woo.
Yeah, on a Saturday. We're doing this on a Saturday, by the way.
Oh, state it.
Saturday energy, nice and smooth.
Oh, we're into some cool jazz today, folks. You know what jazz says? We play all the wrong notes, but not necessarily in the wrong order.
Nice.
Nice.
As always, I am your host, the original Senpai Zane.
Hate that.
It's different. I'm trying it out.
Sorry, carry on.
As always, I'm joined by my fantastic co-host, the Gentlemanly Gamer.
Hello, everyone in Radio Land. The original Senpai, is that your replacement for Senpai Zane? Because if so, that is not... Champagne Zane is still going to be... I'm still going to use Champagne Zane. I'm calling it now. Oh, yeah.
I had another suggestion, by the way.
Oh, yeah. Here we go.
Which was the Senpai... No, the source... No, the Supreme Senpai. Supreme Senpai. Like Doctor Strange, you know, because he's a source of...
We're gonna have to have a conversation with your other Undisputed podcast, just to make clear. But I was under the impression that you would lose all rights to the word senpai. I was under the impression it would be stricken from your name completely. Therefore, any variation of senpai, original or otherwise, is a no. And I need to message your colleague. Is it Susude? Is that I can't remember how you, yeah. I need to message him and be like, listen, we've had this come in. Champagne Zane. Zane hates it. Therefore, I think we should use it. What do you think?
Yeah. I'm sure he'll be eager to hear that.
Yeah. Okay, cool. I definitely need to get in contact with him. Susude, if you're out there listening, get in touch with me. You know how to find me. I'm on Instagram. You can find me through there at Gentleman the Gamer. We normally do the plugs at the end of the show, but hey, you know, with the exception of that, Champagne Zane, how are you doing? How has your week been? Has there been anything of note this week?
Yes, I have aged yearly.
Oh, like a fine cheese, you've matured.
Yeah, you could say. So yeah, I had a birthday this week. Thank you very much for all the lovely messages in the chat and in the comment section. So yeah, it was great. I got some good gifts. You can check them out on my Instagram, senpai_Zane. Yeah, it's still there. Anyways, so yeah, I got a good mix of manga and comic books, including Hickman's X-Men.
Oh, fancy.
Nice.
Fancy. So, the same X-Men that we were talking about last week on the podcast, or?
Yeah. It's like the continuation from House of X and
Power of X, yeah.
Power of X and stuff. So yeah.
Okay, cool. Yeah, nice. Very nice.
How's your week been?
Oh, it's all right. You know, it's been pretty good. Yeah, Twitch is going well. Everything's we passed 300 followers this week, so that was good.
Nice, congratulations.
Thank you very much. Yeah, it's been a good time. Yeah, so everyone who's been coming on and checking that out.
Marvel Adventures.
I did. Oh, I did. That was not a good time, though, Zane. That was not a good time. No. So they've welcome to boring comic book, the comic book video game related news, guys, where I just bang on about myself for half an hour. No, so they've just released the Avengers out on Xbox Games Pass, and if you want to stick your flag in a camp, sorry guys, I'm an Xbox boy. So I love Xbox and I love Games Pass. I'm technically more of a PC man than anything, but anyway, regardless. Yeah. They bought They bought Avengers out on Games Pass, and I've wanted to play it for a while, but I didn't want to pay for it because I've not heard great things. So I downloaded it on PC for Games Pass, and it's got a massive graphical bug in it that has not been fixed or dealt with. So basically, every so often, when you look at the sky, the whole thing just flickers in and out of existence. So like it will literally be, I was doing the stream and I was thinking about my viewers and people watching, and like you just look up and then they just get as it just flickers on the screen, and I'm like, well, that's not a good viewing experience, is it? And then I was thinking it was something to do with my settings, so I kept lowering the graphics down until until Kamala Khan looked like one big pixel, and then I got told, oh, it's a graphical glitch that they haven't fixed, and it's reported on the thing that they just haven't been bothered to fix it, even though they've been releasing, paid DLC for all this stuff. And I'm like, wow, that tells you all you need to know about that game. So I'm going to try. Apparently, it's not broken on Xbox, so I'm going to try and capture card it this week and play it. I was in defense of it. I was really enjoying it. I was really, really enjoying it up until that graphical problem started happening over and over again. Because, oh man, being the Hulk in that game was so much fun. I was like, this is great. Just smashing everything. So yeah, I was kind of disappointed. And then I made the mistake of playing a game called Ghost Runner, which is literally one of the hardest games I've ever played in my life. And there was a lot of rage on my stream this week. I apologize if you were a first-time viewer to my Twitch stream this week. I apologize because there was a lot of rage playing that and Alien Isolation and Nightmare. There was a lot of rage. So yes, but thank you for allowing me to talk about it, Champagne Zane. I do appreciate it.
Well, I wouldn't be much of a champagne if I didn't, would I?
No, I tell you what. Let's celebrate good times. Come on.
Chin chin. Cool. I guess you've got some news for us this week to have a good chinwag about.
Well, we've got some things going on, don't we? There's some things out there in the world that were happening. There's some tips and bits. There's some tips and bits that are going on. Yes. So, kind of at the beginning of the week, there was a couple of news articles that came out regarding the Hawkeye series. So obviously, we've had the trailer for the Hawkeye series, and then Echo is going to be featured at some point within that. And they have announced, Disney Plus have announced that they're going to do some kind of Echo series that is reportedly coming to Disney Plus.
Ooh.
Here's the weirdest thing about this. So I'm gonna. This was as a result of it was a Twitter claim from a user called @DanielRPK. So he's clarified his previous claim about Echo. So apparently they're going to do this rumored show, and this is where it's going to kick in with you, Zane, because I know you're a big fan. Apparently Daredevil is going to be featured in it.
Yeah, I've heard this rumor bounce around a few places. So the idea is that Echo is the daughter of the Kingpin. Also, Echo's sort of powers is that she sees sounds as lights, as colors and such. But the premise being, of course, Kingpin's daughter, and that kind of stems into more Daredevil realms, shall we say. So there's this whole sort of theory going around that Echo's in Hawkeye, which will then launch pad more into Daredevil shows or extended Daredevil media, which is exciting because, again, the whole idea that Kingpin could be in Hawkeye as well just kind of cements more that we might get some more Charlie Cox, maybe. Please.
I think we're definitely. I mean, I think it's all. It's like that. It's like, forgive me for using a wrestling analogy, but it's like when CM Punk was going to debut for AEW, everyone knew it was going to happen. It was the worst kept secret ever, but there was still that kind of like, oh, nothing's confirmed. Could it? Is it really? And it's kind of a similar situation with D'Onofrio, where it's like everyone firmly believes that Vincent D'Onofrio is going to be in Hawkeye as Kingpin. Everyone believes it, but it's not actually been told yet. So we're kind of all like, is it going to happen? Is it going to happen? Spoilers though, CM Punk did appear, so I'm pretty sure that Vincent D'Onofrio will be in Hawkeye. I mean, it's exciting to get the exact quote. He clarified his previous claim about Echo to say that this is still very much Echo's show, but we're going to get what feels like a Daredevil season 4 because we'll get to see all these characters from that show coming back and play big parts in it. But he reiterates that Echo is still very much the lead and it's her show. These characters will be somewhat soft rebooted into the MCU, but will still have a history with one another. So they'll look somewhat different with different backgrounds, but still be played by the same actors. So I want to really emphasize this piece of news take it with a huge pinch of salt because it is heavy on the rumor mill. This one, I think it's also. There is something to say that this could be potentially like a fan wish because we all want to see the Daredevil cast. Well, I personally want to see the Daredevil cast and the Punisher cast and Jessica Jones cast to a lesser degree, but Definitely Daredevil and Punisher. I want to see them in the MCU. I really do. I think they were excellent castings for their roles.
Definitely.
But yeah, are you excited to see an Echo series though?
Honestly, no. It's not like the top of my wish list. But at the same time, I've been proven wrong. With Guardians, for example, I wasn't exactly geared up to see a Guardians movie, but it proved me wrong. It was everything I ever wanted. Or didn't know I wanted.
Yeah. I'm kind of the same with Shang-Chi. It was like, I don't care about this guy at all. And then it was it is one of my favorite movies of the year. It was fantastic. Absolutely. So yeah, they're doing a lot of interesting things. I think some of the Disney Plus series, I'm kind of the view of like, well, you know what? You've got this massive, huge streaming service. If you're going to take risks on projects, yeah, it makes sense to do it on that. Because you're not going to lose. Like, people are still going to subscribe for your big deals, like your Lokis, your WandaVisions, that kind of thing, which are surefire hits. They're still going to come along for that. So yeah, why not take a risk on a lesser, inverted commas, lesser hero and see what comes of it? So
yeah, roll the dice. I mean, I still can't believe we're getting Moon Knight. If I'm brutally honest, like it seems so left, from the mainstream, like
and a proper and a prominent Moon Knight, like Oscar Isaacs is doing as well. That's not like that is not a lesser known actor. You know what I mean? It's not like we'll just put a new actor in this and throw it out there and see what happens. This is like, oh no, Oscar Isaacs is a big deal. So yeah, I'm excited for that. Moon Knight's gonna be. It does feel like they're kind of leaning. The MCU is now leaning slightly more into the mystic side of things, which is a perfect segue to talk about the other piece of news that came out this week regarding Marvel, which was the WandaVision news. So we all remember Catherine Hahn was in WandaVision as Agatha Harkness.
Cool. Fantastic.
So there are rumors this week that apparently she's going to be doing a spin-off show about Agatha Harkness from WandaVision. I mean, so it was a report by Deadline, and the official quote, as seen here, is the potential spin-off would be centered around Catherine Hahn's Agatha Harkness character, which Hahn is set to reprise across the MCU on streaming and in movies under a larger deal she's made with the studio, sources say. Now, okay, so there's two thoughts to this. There's two thoughts to this. One is that Marvel are a little bit lost in terms of kind of like lesser properties and are throwing enough S against the wall that they see what sticks.
Sure.
Hence why we're getting Echo and now we're getting Agatha Harkness, because that world famous A-grade hero Agatha Harkness. The other side of this is what's got me more excited is that the fact that it's going to be she's going to have her own series. I would imagine something akin to the Salem witch trials. I would guess it won't be set in modern day. I would imagine it will look at the past in the MCU, because that's something we've never really seen. You forget really that the MCU is not set in our world. The idea is that it's there's a lot of history in that world that we've never seen. So we don't know what life was like back in the Salem witch trials. We got a little hint of it in WandaVision, but we don't know anything back then. I would love to see a series set then. And then the other thing that's got me really excited, reprise across the MCU on streaming and in movies.
Yes.
Why does that excite me, do you think, Zane?
Well, I'm going to hazard a guess that maybe she saves the Venom movie for you.
Oh, how dare you! How dare you! We'll get onto the Venom news later. Don't even get me started with that right now. I think this is playing into the Mephisto angle.
Okay, I see.
I think that we might be looking at it slightly wrong in the sense of there might not be one big bad anymore. I think there's going to be multiple big bads, and I think there's going to be a mystical big bad, and there's going to be like a technology-based big bad. So we already know Kang's going to be a big deal. We don't know for how long, but Mephisto, this has been bubbling beneath the surface for a very long time, and there's been hints and tips and all over the place. She is apart from Wanda, she's most prominently linked to Mephisto.
Yeah.
So what better way to have like a with Thanos, we kept on having like those like little hints and tips, bits and tips of like Infinity Stones and Infinity Stone gathering and all the machinations that was going on behind the scene. Yeah. Exactly. So why is this not the same thing as that, but with Mephisto, where Agatha is his agent, spinning webs all in the background? I think that's probably what this is going to lead to.
At the same time, she's had like a rich history of battling Doctor Strange in the comics as well. So, like you said, it kind of leans more into that mystic side of things. I think if it's not more Doctor Strange based things, if that makes any sense, like Mordo and the Nightmare and things of that nature, then I think you're right. I think it might be just kind of spinning that plot more along about Mephisto. And
it's interesting what they're going to. Yeah, I wonder if they're going to do like almost like a double level MCU where you've got this like high level where everything's bright and jolly and chipper and everyone's like, oh, it's all science and tech, and oh, there's a tech baddie, oh, he's a nefarious villain, oh, and it's all like kind of comic book-esque. And then they're trying to set up like this darker layer, which is like a mystic layer, where you've got your Moon Knights, you've got your Ghost Riders, you've got like the undercurrent where everything is like, this is like one step shy of hell kind of thing, and Mephisto is the one trying to pull you down there. I don't know. It's weird. I've often said to you, I thought they were setting up for like a cosmic Avengers and a street level Avengers, but maybe I was wrong in that. Maybe it's going to be more like a real world based Avengers and a mystic Avengers, possibly. I don't know. Yeah,
they're going to have to do. They'll have to have those characters to kind of lay out the groundwork, because let's face it, like she was really popular from the WandaVision TV shows. Like she was a fan favorite, so it doesn't surprise me that she does get her own sort of spin-off. But at the same time, I think, like you said, we need those characters to kind of lay out the groundwork to follow, because executing Mystic on like TV to a wider audience can get really messy, and then we've got Fantastic Four, like you said, who are going to be doing cosmic things later down the line. So it can get a bit funky.
I mean, I reading the report, obviously the plot details are as it says here, the plot details are closely kept secret, but the trade does note that the show was described as a dark comedy by its sources, which I mean, that does make sense when you think about Catherine Hahn and her portrayal of Agatha Harkness in the show. So I really do believe that won't be set in current time. I think that'll be the origin of Agatha Harkness and why she was, because we don't really know her motivations at all. We do not know. I mean, can you tell me after watching WandaVision, apart from the fact that she wanted to be the greatest witch, like where did that motivation come from? Like what's her drive kind of thing, Yeah. So no, interesting news. This one I am cautiously optimistic to see, because I love Catherine Hahn. I think she's amazing in everything she's in. I especially love her in Parks and Recreation. If anyone has seen that series, where she's a campaign manager who just sleeps with everyone and is an absolute shark, and she's amazing in it. So if you haven't seen Parks and Rec, go and watch it. It is a fantastic show. Anyway, we'll talk about the last bit of Marvel news this week before we get onto What If later on. For those long-term listeners of the show, you'll all know that I have an absolute love and passion for Venom, Let There Be Carnage. It's going to win multiple Oscars. It's going to be one of the greatest films ever created. It should beat Avatar at the box office, or Endgame, whichever it is at the moment. And if you can't hear the lace of sarcasm in my voice, then I'm sorry, you shouldn't be listening. Anyway, Venom, Let There Be Carnage. The box office has been revealed this week. So after talking about it last week, where it had the biggest, the second biggest opening of the pandemic era, just behind Black Widow.
My word.
Oh boy, it's now gone on. This train ain't a stopping, I'll tell you. So according to Cinema Score, the Venom sequel Cinema Score has been revealed. Oh boy, it's made a lot of money, Zane. Oh boy. So after its record-breaking opening, Venom Let There Be Carnage scored a further 6.8 million at the North American box office yesterday. So this was as of a few days ago, actually, so it's probably made more by now. But as a result, the movie has smashed past the 100 million mark after just 5 days, tying Shang-Chi and the Legend of the Ten Rings for the pandemic era record. So based on a 5-day opening, it has made the most with Shang-Chi. It's made the most money in the pandemic era. Now, one of the comments in this, I will agree with 100%. Very, very good news. Very, very good news for theaters. I'm really happy to see this. Yeah. It means that people are going to the cinema and watching films again. Excellent. Yes, guys, do it. Get out there, watch the films. This film. Did you have to do it for this film? Did you really have to? I mean, your thoughts on this, Zane? Venom quality is not necessarily up there, but I guess popularity is.
Yeah, it's really weird because, again, like we mentioned last week, Tom Hardy obviously has like the magic touch for these sort of movies. Because again, he's just so popular with everyone and their neighbor.
Housewives.
Yeah. Parents, everyone seems to love him regardless.
Did you see? I think it was him. This may be, again, pinch of salt, guys. This may be me false newsing it, but I'm pretty sure. Didn't he do an episode of Jack and Ori? Like he did like a one-off episode of like reading a kids TV show, and it was like the most watched Jack and Ori show ever. Because loads of housewives and and women who were at home tuned in to watch him.
Yeah. So it was CBBS.
That was it.
Stories with CBBS.
That was it.
They had Dave Grohl this week, believe it or not.
What the hell?
Yeah.
Oh, how did he open it? I got another confession, my friend. Go to bed.
I think he read a Paul McCartney kids book or something.
Of course he did. Yeah. Of course he did. Isn't George Harrison teaching his daughter how to play the guitar or something like that? Oh, not George Harrison. He's dead now. I thought it might have been McCartney actually.
I think it was McCartney. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. There we go. That's awkward. George Harrison still lives in my heart.
Drac is in our chat at the moment, just letting us know that it's your favorite topic. This.
Drac is unacceptable. How dare he just flit into this podcast without letting us know that he was around? How dare he? Love you, Drac. So let's be clear. This score is expected to be absolutely smashed by James Bond this week, which has just come out. No Time to Die, which I'm very excited to hopefully see tonight. And I need to book tickets, and I forgot. But I mean, I'm really happy with this because people are going to the cinema and it's making money again. And I tell you what, honestly, it's stuff like this where it just goes to show this comic book movie bubble. It ain't burst yet. It really hasn't. Because you look at the pandemic era, what are the highest rated, the highest scoring, monetary wise? It's Venom, it's Black Widow, and it's Shang-Chi. So
Shang-Chi, yeah.
Anyway, it is what it is. Drax just sent us a lovely message saying he's sorry he can't be here today, but he's looking forward to watching later. After I just crucified him for not being here, so there we go, lovely. Well, I hope you enjoy listening to this backtrack. I don't know. I assume this means we're going to get a Venom 3.
I would assume so too. Like the fact that it's doing this well at the box office, and I think historically Venom did really well streaming and DVD house numbers as well, like DVDs maybe. But
I think so.
I think it did really well when it came to home releases.
I wonder the one. Obviously, we have not, as of this recording, we have not seen Venom: Let There Be Carnage, unless Zane's kept that really quiet. But no, so we don't know how much Venom 3 might be involved in MCU. We could be seeing an MCU Venom 3, which, if that is the case, that's the one thing that could probably turn me around on Venom at this point in time, as far as from a cinematic point of view. Sure. I love Venom. I just want to establish this because if there's any listeners in who think I hate Venom and Carnage, they are some of my favorite characters in the entirety of Marvel. I just don't think they've had a very good rap when it comes to cinematic experiences. And it makes me sad to see that because they are such great characters. Venom especially has such an amazing history now. There's so much more you can do with him. But it is what it is. We'll have to see. I'm very intrigued. I still haven't seen what the spoiler is at the end of the.
Me neither.
So I'm very intrigued to see what that is and what's got everyone so hyped. But anyway, the Venom train keeps a rolling, and we shall see in a couple of weeks where it's at. Could this be the Cameron beater that we've all been waiting for that will crush Avatar at the box office? Who knows? Who knows? Anyway, he'll have to re-release Avatar for the 5th time just to make sure he stays on top.
Because of Venom.
Because of Venom, that would be amazing. All right, we'll get the next. It'll be brilliant. It'll be Cameron's next invention after Venom beats it. It'll be Avatar. Let there be blue guys. That will be what it is, guys. Yeah. That will be what it is. Right. So, moving on to, I'll talk about this topic to begin with because I know that Zane is not a huge fan of it. But we had a trailer for new Resident Evil reboot. Welcome to Raccoon City. Now, I originally thought that this was they are re-releasing. They actually are re-releasing Avatar in China. Drac just told us. Oh my god, are you serious? That's amazing. That is amazing. Of course they are. Cameron can't stand the fact that Endgame is the number 1 box office. Anyway, so yeah, moving on. So Resident Evil. There is a Netflix series that is supposed to be coming out, which is a live action version of Resident Evil. So, Drac, I know you're not a huge fan of Resident Evil. Have you played any of the games? Are you involved in any of them? I'm assuming you've probably seen some of the Mila Jovovich movies. Absolute silence.
Sorry, is that directed at me? I thought
you're the only one. No, you're the only one here.
Yes, I have seen the live action movies, but I haven't. I played a little bit of Resident Evil 4 on the Wii, cool. But yeah, that's about it.
That's one of the best Resident Evil games. So there you go. I think the Mila Jovovich movies, they started off, I think, with the vein of like, how do we take this popular franchise and make it kind of like mainstream cool? Which is ridiculous because Resident Evil already is mainstream cool, in my opinion. Anyway, but they kind of just went off on their own and became like this ridiculous, like, schlocky, poppy, crazy, films. And they were fine. Like, it was fine for their own bit. Like, they were very, like, when you go to see a Resident Evil movie by Paul W. Anderson, you know exactly what you're going to see.
Sure.
It's not what Resident Evil is about. It shouldn't have been what Resident Evil was about. So it's interesting. You can actually chart like when you watch the films and when you watch the games. So like Resident Evil started off as a survival horror. It was a pure survival horror. That's what it was all about. So you had this thing where you were set in a crazy mansion and you were kind of disorientated the whole time. You didn't know what was going to come out at you, and it was scary. Like, it was genuinely scary. Yeah. And then they built on that over and over again until they got to Resident Evil 4, where they were just like, right, forget pretty much survival horror. Let's have some monsters in it, but let's make it all out action, and let's make it crazy action games. And then they did that for 4, 5, and 6. And 6 is widely regarded as like one of the most hated Resident Evil games of all time because it just says no more survival horror. That's it. We're just doing action. And everyone hated it. Everyone absolutely hated it. And it's the same with the films. There's no real horror elements in the films. It's not like, intense, like, anything like that. It's all just like, yeah, let's hit things. Boom, 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 boom. And so that's what it got to. With this one, with the beginning of Evil, with Welcome to Raccoon City, it looks like they're trying to take it back to more of like that survival horror element. They've introduced core characters from the show. So we've got Chris Redfield, we've got Claire Redfield, but the thing that slightly concerns me is they are jumbling up all the lore and stuff. So they're kind of throwing everything together into one pot. So you've got that the first game is set in this mansion, the second game is set in actual Raccoon City when the outbreak happens. The third is like Nemesis, and then the fourth is in the village. It looks like they've taken 1, 2, and 3 and they've just like whopped them all together into this film. We see like zombies, we see like the zombie dogs and stuff like that, kind of traditional Resident Evil villains. We see a character called Lisa Trevor, which I was really surprised to see in this. So she's kind of like a horrible, experimented on person that roams the mansion, and you can't kill her. She's like an unkillable monster. and she's properly horrible as well. Like I mean, you know, I'll show a little bit without us, but if you can see it in the trailer there, she's like wearing people's faces and stuff like that. So
wow,
yeah, so she's pretty horrible. She's properly scary as well. So it's interesting that they've introduced that kind of element to it.
Yeah.
The jury's out on this one. I'm very optimistic, hopeful, because I love Resident Evil. It is a big passion for me. I do it on stream quite a bit as well, and I want to see a successful live action version of it. They've got a really good cast for it as well, like a really good cast for it. It's just I mixing up the lore and getting it all kind of like convoluted and together. It could either be a big win or a big fail for it. So I am cautiously optimistic to see that. I'm not sure if it's got a release date yet. Let me just have a quick look. It does not have a release date yet, as far as I can see. But yeah, I mean the cast listing is great. Like you've got Tom Hopper in it from Umbrella Academy. You know, the big monkey man. You know, you've got Kayla Scoladerio, who I can never say the name right of. You've got like Neil McDonough, who's an amazing actor and has been in so many things. Like he was in Minority Report. He's in like the CW. He's in that stuff as well. Yeah, so I am very excited for this. It's just there you go. Movie set to hit theaters in November. It's actually coming out next month.
Oh wow,
Zane!
November 24th,
how did I miss that? December 3rd in the UK. Yeah, November 24th in the US and December 3rd in the UK. Okay, I did not realize that. Wow, they've released that first trailer late.
Yeah.
Wow. Okay, I'm more excited about that than ever now. So I did not see that at the bottom of the report. So there you go. Anyway, yeah, Resident Evil. It's gonna be interesting. I am excited to see what's gonna happen with it. But yeah, let's hold our breath so that I don't get overexcited and crushed like my friend with Suicide Squad. Speaking of crushed. I think we were all quite disappointed to see the end of Game of Thrones, weren't we, Zane? Speaking personally.
I would agree with you there.
Well, you know what? HBO are giving it another go because we've got The House of the Dragon. The teaser trailer was released this week. The prequel to Game of Thrones, its spin-off, featuring such prominent cast members as Dr. Smith, Matt Smith, Dr. Smith, Doctor Who, Matt Smith, Rhys Evans, Evie Best from The King's Speech. Load of really good cast in this. First trailer has dropped this week. What do you think, Zane? What did you think about The House of the Dragon?
I thought it looked pretty cool. Like based on set designs and things of that nature, it didn't show us a lot of action. It just showed us a lot of talking and a lot of backdrops. So yeah, for a teaser trailer, it did what it needed to. But yeah, I'd say it'd be cool to kind of revisit it. I think everyone's had enough time to kind of like digest the end of Game of Thrones and come out the other end of it. So
it did come out the other end, didn't it? I think that they've. I mean, this is very tricky subject for me. Game of Thrones is one of my favorite shows of the last decade, which I think is the same for most people. And I think most people were left with a very sour taste in their mouth by the finale, which, let's be frank, was rushed. It was a rush job, and that's what killed Game of Thrones, because there was lore that was built around the idea that Targaryens go crazy. I think the biggest issue that most people had was Khaleesi going mental, like losing her mind and going crazy. Like, I think that was the biggest issue that a lot of people had, because it just seemed to happen like that. Like, it just was a really quick thing. And that for me was one of the big bugbears of it. Couple that with Bran being left as king at the end. That was I didn't like that. That was terrible. It should have been Jon Snow. It should have been Jon Snow ultimately. And I'm not saying that from like a fan perspective of like, oh, he's so handsome, Kit Harington's so gorgeous. No, it made logical sense in that he is a persecuted man who was put upon for the entirety. He was always claimed to be a bastard, and he wasn't. He was the true ruler of the realm. And it's the ultimate sadness that the ultimate ruler of the realm has to make a horrific decision, which is to ultimately kill the woman he loves, who just so happens to be his auntie. But you know what I mean? It could have gone. They could have gone with either one of two ways. It could have been a perfect cyclical event whereby you start at the beginning of the show, and so this show is going to chronicle, I think, it's the Targaryen dynasty, basically, when they are at their peak, at their strongest, when the House of the Dragon is the ruler of Westeros, and the dramas that unfold from then. Because at the beginning of Game of Thrones, the series, we see it's just after the downfall of the Targaryen dynasty, and that's why Daenerys is on the run and all this other kind of stuff. I think it would have been a perfect cyclical cycle to say the show ended with the end of the Targaryen dynasty. Oh, sorry. The show began with the end of the Targaryen dynasty, and then it's going to end with two Targaryens incestuously sitting on the throne, because that's how the Targaryen dynasty is. They sleep with their own family. That's what it's all about.
Sure.
So the fact that it ended the way it ended was really. I hope in my heart of hearts that HBO have learnt from these mistakes, and they are going to, because I'm sorry, I don't care if there was scheduling conflicts or whatever it is. HBO is not a poor company. They could have thrown money at the situation until they got everyone in the same place to be like, right, we're going to devote an entire season worth of this. We're not going to rush it. We're going to show the slow deterioration of Daenerys into the Mad Queen, and then we're going to play it off, and then we're going to put someone else apart from Bran on the throne. Honestly, though, Bran can see the future. What a little what a sniveling little, yes, I'm going to put myself on the throne. It's meant to be. Oh, I hate you, Bran. I hate you so much. Worst result, anyway. But
it was a little heartbreaking, to say the least. But yeah, I mean, with this, like you said, this is a chance for them to have another swing at it and learn from mistakes. And yeah, I'm just looking forward to discovering new characters, going on those character journeys, because let's face it, one thing that Game of Thrones did really well is these like character journeys. So I'm really looking forward to that. And who doesn't want to see a CGI dragon as well?
That's true. The one thing I will say about this is that the only difficulty they will have is Paddy Constantine. I didn't even talk about him. He's in this as well. He looks amazing. But the only issue that I do have with this is that with Game of Thrones, one of the biggest draws to Game of Thrones over the 8 series was it was very unpredictable, and you really didn't know who was going to die. You didn't know who was going to live, who was going to die. The Red Wedding was a perfect example of this. When they brought in Pedro Pascal and they killed him within like 3 series by having his head popped. Like that was, there's so many like examples of like people they brought in and then killed off, and it was like quite a surprise. What was it? Ian McShane was brought in for an episode and then killed immediately. And I think with this, it's a slight risk of like the Targaryen's going to live because they have to live, because they have to eventually get up to the point where, they're overthrown. So does that take out Ned Stark died in Game of Thrones? That's the biggest example of all of it, where you were like, oh my god, anyone can die.
First,
but like, do you think that being a prequel and knowing that some of these characters have to live through to be able to continue on the dynasty of families, does it take away an element of Game of Thronesian, where people aren't going to die and you don't know, you're like, oh well, that's a Targaryen, so I know for a fact he's going to live, or oh, that's a Stark, I know that's Ned Stark's great grandfather, I know he's going to live because Ned Stark hasn't been born. You know what I mean? I
can see what you mean, but it's kind of like, I suppose it's the delivery of the death, because for example, when Littlefinger pushes I can't remember her name through the sky door or whatever they called it, like you said, she had a son and everything else, but it didn't mean that she was going to see him fully grown into a man or anything. So
true,
there can be a little bit of uncertainty, but sometimes it's the delivery that's shocking as well, just as shocking as them getting axed. So
I suppose so. Like when the Daenerys' brother gets murdered by Drogo. That's pretty.
Yeah,
That was pretty. Like, oh my god. Okay, after like 7 episodes.
yeah. You
Crown for a king.
Fantastic.
Yeah, I'm interested to see it. It'll be an interesting thing to watch.
Oh, yeah,
I think I will say this. This is 100% HBO's last chance with Game of Thrones. If this doesn't turn out to be excellent, a la kind of like Watchmen, what they did with Watchmen, I think this is the last breath for Game of Thrones. Personally, in outside of book form,
for a long time. Like if this doesn't succeed, then I think it'll be put to rest for a very long time and may reappear a couple of years down the line. So yeah, I totally agree with you there.
I think it'll be a lot longer than a couple of years, to be honest with you. But yeah, I think this will be a situation of like, we'll look back on the books and then be like, oh wow, they've done like a Lord of the Rings with it. Oh my god, that's amazing. But yeah, this is the last dragon's breath of Game of Thrones. They either make good on this or it goes bye for a very long time. So there you go. That's all the news I had for this week. I'm sure there are other bits and pieces, tips and bits that are out there. If you've got any tips and bits that you want us to talk about on the show, or you want to hear us our opinions on, then obviously get in touch with us at the usual place, nerds.undisputed@gmail.com, or contact us on the socials. But Zane, I think we're coming into the main event of the show this week, aren't we?
Absolutely, yes. So the last episode of What If actually happened. Episode 9.
It did actually
happen. Broke his oath. I believe the runtime on this was 35 minutes compared to some of the 30-minute episodes we had. Let's start off with Undisputed or Disputed?
Undisputed.
Yeah.
Undisputed. Amazing show. Like it was great. Like this was a great finale as well. I think this one has to be I don't necessarily agree with this being its standalone episode. I think you have to have this pushed together with What If Ultron won.
Yeah.
If you look at the two of them together, oh god, what an episode this was. This was great. Like we finally see the that's an interesting screen because that was a bit that was not in the show. I don't think. Oh no, it was in the show. Sorry. Every time I see Gamora, I'm like, what? Why is she doing that? We'll talk about that.
Yeah, we will do.
We finally got the conglomeration of the Guardians of the Multiverse.
What did you think of the name, by the way? Whilst you say that,
terrible name, absolutely awful name.
I was like,
no, it's awful. You're not. First of all, you're not Guardians of the Multiverse because he's already destroyed loads of them. Like he's already destroyed a load of universes. If anything, it should have been like Avengers of the Multiverse or something. Like because
I thought would make sense. Yeah,
the Revengers. Oh wait, they've already done that. No. So yeah, we got to see them all come together. I mean, there were a couple of downsides with it, but we'll get onto that a bit later. I love Ultron. What they've done with Ultron this series has made him properly powerful again and imposing, and a good villain. We'll come to that when we talk about some of the downsides to it as well. I thought the Watcher. It was interesting. The Watcher took quite a back seat in this one because, to be perfectly honest with you, it didn't really feel like he broke his oath. It really didn't. I know that he kind of got involved in the sense of like, but he didn't get involved in any specific timelines. The whole idea behind the Watcher is that he's not supposed to get involved in, like 616, for example, which is the most commonly known as the numerical number for the main Marvel universe, 616. He doesn't get involved in their lives. He doesn't get involved in their kind of day to day. But this was everything. Like this was all of it. Like this was affecting him as well. This was all of reality that was affected.
Yeah.
So it wasn't really how is that breaking his oath when his own dimension, his own reality, everything is going to be gone. It didn't really feel like an oath breaking moment to me. And when I say and also getting together a group of people to fight a robot, is that really breaking your oath? Really?
I think Doctor Strange kind of summed it up well in the sense that he knew the best way for them to beat that version of Ultron was to have these people together to play out the roles. It wasn't necessarily about them actually defeating Ultron, shutting him down, etc., etc. It was more of a case that they had these roles to play that would lead to
it was a specific scenario.
Yeah. And that's why he needed these set of people, because like you said, they're not necessarily the strongest you think of straight away to assemble a Avengers of the multiverse, shall we say? So yeah.
Sure. I mean, what were your thoughts on this episode, Zane? Because I've done a lot of already talking about it. What were your thoughts on it?
Yeah, I really liked it. I thought it was undisputed without a shadow of a doubt. Some great action sequences again. So it feels like this was again very budget heavy compared to some previous episodes. I like how it took the time for the team to get to know each other. Like, as short of amount of time it was, like the fact that they had Chinese food together and they just kind of talked about how are we going to approach this. Gamora kind of mentions, like, I have this crusher that crushes Infinity Stones. You know, they actually had a conversation and plan instead of just kind of like, just, oh, you're Captain Carter, you're so-and-so, you're Killmonger, now go. Like, they took the time to kind of strategize something, which I thought was really cool.
It was good. It was a really good bit. I like that it was also out. It seemed to be like in the magical realm outside of time and space that Doctor Strange was occupying. It's interesting that so it looks like Ultron. The one thing that it did strike me from this is it looked like Ultron wasn't actually wiping out universes. He was just wiping out all the organic life in the universes, and scouring different universes looking for organic life, which is why he thought he'd killed everything in that universe. And then they basically bait him. They bait him into a trap and use Thor as the ultimate loud, noisy distraction to get Ultron into one place. But it is interesting how he doesn't actually wipe out the universes. He just literally just cleanses them of life, which I thought was kind of neat in a way that, like, he leaves all this stuff standing, but there's just no organic life left. He's the only sentient being. I mean, as far as kind of like the plot of the episode goes, it was your standard kind of like, let's get a group of people together and go and beat a big bad situation. And as you've said, the fight sequences were fantastic, really good fight sequences. I will say, I wonder how much of a vehicle this was for future MCU properties, because we got a taste of just how powerful Doctor Strange with those demons inside him really was. And oh boy, is he powerful. My God. He stood up to all 6 Infinity Stones, like in one battle, basically.
Yeah, it's that whole sequence when Ultron's like, I've had enough of this, and he blows up like a portion of the galaxy.
Yeah.
And somehow Doctor Strange was able to reverse it and then just
absorb it. Yeah.
Yeah. And I was just like, whoa.
I know. It was absolutely mad. Like, it's insane. I don't know whether that's... So it begs the question, how much of that is Doctor Strange's natural abilities and how much of that is the possession from... potentially Shumagoroth. We don't know if it's Shumagoroth in his body or how many other beings he has in there, because obviously from the episode he consumed a lot. But like, that's mad. Like, that was crazy. Like, which is why I'm kind of leaning more into that theory that I've had, where now that they've got rid of the Infinity Stones in the MCU, in the main MCU, they're focusing more on Infinity beings, where you have these Nexus beings who control, like, literally, they can control powers on the same scale as the Infinity Stones, a la Wanda with reality, a la Captain Marvel with, like, space. It's this kind of stuff where it's like, man, that just goes to show how strong, like, a character is. I love when he time stoned off with him as well. That was great.
I was going to say, I completely forgot he had it still.
Yeah.
His version would still have the time stone, so I was just oh wow, of course.
I was also really surprised to see it green, because in his episode, when he changed reality, the stone changed to red for the reality stone. So I'm surprised to see it as a green one. But that was so good as well, when Ultron's trying to, like, he's just trying to rewind time, and then Doctor Strange's like, nope, whoop, and then puts it back. I was like, that is awesome. That is absolutely awesome. interesting question for you. Did you notice that like, I mean, we're not going to see anything more of it, and I wish Drac was here to talk about it, because I know there's been some historical relevance to it, but the first stone they went for was the Soul Stone.
Yeah.
Because it's apparently it's supposed to, like, I guess, like, this is why I would love Drac to be here, because he can talk more historically about it, but historically speaking, it's supposed to be the most powerful of the Infinity Stones, the Soul Stone. It's supposed to be the thing. I think the idea is it binds everything together. Like, everyone's got a soul. Every living thing has a soul. So that's the thing that Ultron can kind of hone in on, I guess, and use. But, like, yeah, very interesting. They went that one straight away. They were like, we got to get the Soul Stone. That's the key to all of it, is the Soul Stone. Because Adam Warlock is obviously coming into the MCU soon. We assume with Guardians 3, but we don't know. But he is Soul Stone boy. He is all about that Soul Stone. He loves it. He loves a bit of orange. And so again, you wonder how much they're kind of setting up for, like, that Soul Stone is super powerful. Anyone who can use that Soul Stone is, god tier abilities kind of thing.
Yeah, definitely. I was just going to say, I loved certain aspects, like Doctor Strange using the protection spells on them. So they had, like, these enhanced shields.
Uber protection.
I love the opening where Captain Carter was doing essentially the same opening as Winter Soldier. I know, it was great. I was absolutely loving that. I thought it was fantastic. It was literally beat for beat, and fighting Balrog the Leaper as well. I was like, yes, that's so good. Batroc, I think it is. Batroc the Leaper, sorry. Yeah. Oh man, that was great. It was weird. It kind of made me want to see. It did make me want to see Captain Carter's universe, just to see kind of the play out of it. But yeah. What do you think of these rumors about the missing episode of Gamora? So there's a couple of rumors that apparently there was another episode where we would have got to see Gamora's universe, where she survives Sakaar with Tony Stark instead of Thor, and that's where he had that armor set of like Sakaar metals and such.
What do I think of it? Well, there was a story that came out this week. I wasn't going to talk about it until we got into What If, but apparently they're gonna show that episode in its entirety in season 2. Oh, wow. So we are going to get that episode apparently, but it's going to be in season 2. Honestly, really disappointed that they didn't put it in this season, because Gamora was she was like a core, like, she was like one of the linchpins of this team. That's the whole the whole thing behind it. People are gonna hate this, including Drac, but, like, I would have much rather them take out the Marvel Zombies episode and put in the Gamora episode. From a structural standpoint, from a universe building standpoint, I think that it would have made a lot more sense to see the origin of Gamora, the World Conqueror, or whatever she was called, than Marvel Zombies. And I get that Marvel Zombies was incredibly popular. I'm sticking by my guns. It was a terrible episode. I did not like that Marvel Zombies episode. And the only purpose that it served was that there was a moment in this episode where they piled in Marvel Zombies on top of Ultron. Yeah. And I thought it was cool. It was nice that they linked it in, and they linked in the Wanda zombie. But you did not need that episode to be able to do that. You really didn't. Exactly. It would have been much better to have the full team and the Gamora story revealed. I want to know how she killed Thanos. Like, I want to know how she stopped the entirety of Endgame seemingly from happening in her episode. I want to know that. And I feel like I don't give a monkeys about anything that's happening in the zombie universe at all. Like, I know what's happening in the zombie universe. Everyone's being eaten. That's what's that's what's happening in the zombie. I don't need to know that. There were a couple of things that were kind of off a little bit for me personally in this episode. So just to go through, I want to let me prefix this with fantastic episode. Absolutely love it. If you haven't seen it, yes, you do need to watch all of What If to understand exactly what's happening at the end. That's probably the key part that I was missing from previous episodes, where it was like, you have to see this as a whole piece to understand the entirety of it. And it is very well done. And if you watch the whole series together, it's a win-win. A couple of things that did bother me. So Doctor Strange was obviously super powerful,
Yes.
and the Guardians altogether was super powerful. We'd already seen the Watcher get involved the previous week in a fight with Ultron. Why wasn't he involved this week? Why did he take a back seat? I guess it was because it had to play out in a very specific way, but even so, I did question the involvement of Killmonger until the end when I realized why it had to happen the way that it happened. So my slight issue with that is, how did Killmonger understand the technology behind Ultron? Was it because he was trained by Tony Stark, or was it because something else was going on with him? It felt very shoehorned in that he could suddenly manipulate Ultron tech really quickly. I assume it was because Tony Stark was his mentor and he knew exactly how to manipulate it. But by the same token, there wasn't really an explanation of that. So for anyone who doesn't really get it, you know,
it's like you said though. There's that whole episode where they build armor, isn't there? They build droids, and you know, you could say a variation of Ultron to an extent. I guess more like a mechs to opposed to Ultron itself. But I see where you're saying. But at the same time, I think you would have had to seen that episode to be like, well, yeah, he's a tech guy now. That version of Killmonger, at least. And
you have to know that Tony Stark created Ultron as well to be able to link that back to say it's all behind Tony Stark. I did see there was a very interesting. Speaking of Tony Stark, whilst we're talking Tony Stark, whilst we're talking about this, I did see a very interesting note in. I can't remember where it was from. I apologize for stealing the source because I don't know where it came from in this one. But they were talking about the fact that in all of the iterations we've seen so far of What If of everything, Tony Stark has died in all of them, like in every single one, which is almost indicates that Tony Stark's death is a fixed point in time. It has to happen in order for the Marvel universes to continue. Like Tony Stark is not going to live to old age. He is going to die in some form somehow. It doesn't matter when, where, or how. Within the 10-year time span of him being saved from, you know, the cave, or, you know, whatever the circumstance may be, he's going to die within that time period. And that is a fixed point in the MCU that cannot be changed. And I thought it was really interesting because it's like, he has died in everything that we've seen him in so far. I just thought it was a really interesting thing that it's like, maybe people's individual deaths and lives are fixed point in time, a la Doctor Strange and Christine.
I see what you mean. It'd be interesting to see what they do with the Sakaar version, because he's like, you know, obviously survived Battle World to an extent. So it'd be interesting. Like you said, I imagine they'll just kill him off. But I guess this is kind of like their way of like, forget about Tony, because if anyone's still holding a candle for Tony and are watching this, like, you're gonna realize quickly that there's no need to hold on to that candle.
Rinsler, if you're watching, you're definitely holding that candle. The only other thing that kind of bothered me a little bit about this episode, and it's a very I'm literally nitpicking here, so
sure,
but AI wise, you probably know where I'm going to go with this. Ultron is the supreme artificial intelligence in the universe. He is ridiculously powerful. You know, I mean, to the point where he, as I said to you last week, you know, he evolves every time he's beaten in the books. He evolves, learns from it, and comes back even stronger. Which is why it's gotten to the point in the books now where the only way the heroes can beat him is by going back in time and stopping him from ever being created. You know, that's how tough Ultron is. So to the idea that Ultron as a supreme AI intelligence would not have absolute dominance over his own domain within his, you know, whatever his internet or whatever he resides in, to the point where the Arnim Zola AI is the thing that can beat him. I was like, no, that is like, why? There's no way Arnim Zola as an AI would stop Ultron. I'm sorry, there's just no way. Also, and I'm glad they went into it, but like, he would then have his own like machinations of like what he could do with the Time Stone and the Infinity Stones. So, but I was just like, that annoyed me quite a lot, where it was like, really, Zola's your great super weapon?
I know, yeah, it's it felt kind of clutching at straws almost, but it is a weird ending as well. This is the thing that I just found weird about it. I thought I like the idea that Doctor Strange had to imprison them, but the fact that he has to imprison them, then watch them in his own sort of prison, like he becomes a watcher himself. I thought that's a bit strange.
I wasn't so down on that, because if you watch
Yeah,
the end of so for me, this is a very personal thing.
sure.
That Doctor Strange episode was my favorite episode of this series. I adored that Doctor Strange because it carried so much weight in terms of emotional resonance and what people would do to go to the ends of the earth for their partners. It was a beautifully well done episode. And he's so blinded by his own decisions and his own drive to stop this from happening, he can't see what he's doing to everything else. Now, at the end of that episode, he realizes what he has done. And he realizes that because of him, his entire universe is destroyed. Like, it's not just like, I mean, think about the weight of that. You didn't just destroy the earth, you destroyed everything in your entire reality. So at the end of that episode, he's basically consigned to the fact that he needs to atone, and he needs to be a prisoner, and he needs to effectively work off his time because of what he's done. And that's why he's just in that bubble. So for me, the idea of like, well, actually, if you look at things, he wasn't a good guy in the sense that he did it for the right reasons, but he did some very, very bad things. And he's going to have to serve out his punishment. And what greater way of serving out a punishment than by watching a greater evil, that would stop everything. So from that point of view, I didn't mind it. There was some hokey pokey stuff about the Infinity Stones as well, which we've been into, where it's like, oh yeah, you things can't affect Infinity Stones in other dimensions, and yet the Infinity Stones work in every dimension again. And it's like you're getting to. I think we need to now. We really need to put the Infinity Stones to bed and say bye-bye, Infinity Stones. No more talk of you for a very, very long time. Same with Game of Thrones. No more talking of you for a very long time. Season 2, because obviously they had that big cliffhanger of she's found Steve, apparently. Or whether that was just a nice little end point for her to say, oh, okay, it's done.
A mid-credit sequence as such, you could say.
Correct.
Yeah, really, really cool, like you said. Look, I'd say Captain Carter has been really popular in this series, so it wouldn't surprise me if they were to do another episode or two based on her. But yeah, it was really cool, and it was really cool what they did with Black Widow as well. I thought it was a real nice touch at the end there.
Perfect way of reintroducing a Black Widow back into the main MCU if they need to in the future, because now that Scarlett Johansson has settled her lawsuit and is back in the Disney fold, we'll probably see it at some point, guys, I would imagine. What are your thoughts? So here's an outside view on this. We've established now people from other dimensions can appear and live in other dimensions, a la Black Widow in the Loki dimension. What are your thoughts on Captain Carter actually becoming mainstream MCU and coming across into the movies? Because Hayley Atwell has been getting buff, and it's under the pretense of Mission Impossible 7 because she's in Mission Impossible 7.
Okay.
But what if Marvel are going to do an ultimate swerve and bring her in? We need a Captain America that's not Sam Wilson. We need a super soldier Captain America. Like, it's established. We need someone that scale.
I see.
What if they're going to bring in Captain Carter?
I think it will happen at some point, even if it's just a cameo. I don't think it would be placing her in the 616 forever, like a version of Captain Britain, shall we say. I just think it would be more of a nod and a wink, because similar to Spider-Gwen, like, they pull her in when they need her, sort of thing, to be like, look at her over here, sort of thing. But yeah, I don't think they'll keep her in the 616.
I don't think the 616. By the way, just for nerds out there who are yelling at us right now, I don't think the 616 is actually the MCU. I think that's the main comic universe. I know that they listed another one as the MCU, but we're just using 616 as an example because it's one of the mainstream ones that we know of that we can say, because I can't remember what the MCU one is at all. I absolutely adore Hayley Atwell. I think she's incredible.
Seeing her in action and
stuff. All right, that's enough. But yeah, I think she's fantastic. So anytime they want to bring her in, bring her in. But yeah, on the whole, right, What If has been a really contentious series for me. There's been some really good stuff that I've loved. I particularly enjoyed the Doctor Strange episode. I really loved the What If Ultron 1 episode. I loved the Guardians of the Galaxy episode with T'Challa. Again, really good. However, there's also been some absolute stinkers. I personally thought the zombies one was terrible. I wasn't a big fan of the Thor Odinson Only Child episode. I thought that was a bit rubbish. So very mixed up and down series. In terms of what they've released on Disney so far, this is probably, for me, speaking personally, guys, this is probably my least favorite Disney Plus show so far from Marvel. It's still, Loki is the best series that Disney Plus has done. Then it's WandaVision, then it's Captain America and Winter Soldier, and then it's this. I didn't on the whole enjoy this series as an amazing thing. The last couple of episodes definitely redeemed it a lot in my eyes. You know, always a linchpin for me of a good show in my mind is, you know, my wife is the antithesis of me when it comes to nerd, and she struggled to get through this series. She struggled very, very hard. And that's normally a sign that it's probably not the best well-written show that's not for, comic book nerds. You could argue, why is a non-comic book nerd watching this? Well, you know what? Marvel's supposed to be for everyone. So, how does it happen? But anyway, I thought it was good. I liked it on the whole. What was your version of the series?
I thought it was okay. I thought it was... for me, I love animation, so it was nice to see some extended universe sort of things. I enjoyed it enough. And again, if it got to see more of some of my favorite side characters like Captain Carter and Killmonger, then I would have indulged into this regardless. Yeah,
100%. 100%. But what did you think of it, guys? What did you think of it out there in the Undisputed Nerdverse? Much like the news, let us know. We are available on... Well, where are we available, Zane? Where are we available?
On all their favorite podcast platforms. Make sure to drop a like, share, and subscribe. And again, as Gigi says, drop us a comment. We'd love to hear your thoughts on the series. If you're stuck to try and find us, all the relevant links will be in the descriptions down below.
Cool, good. Yeah, you can. I don't know if my links are in the. I think my links are in the description, but you can find me on Twitch and on Instagram at Gentlemanly Gamer, guys. So if you want to come and say hello at any point in time that I am streaming, and it is allowed, because otherwise I'll just be like, nah, forget it. Like, I'm done. Whatever. I can't bother running this. So Zane, it has been a pleasure as usual, my darling. You are the guiding light in the nerd universe, and I forever will love you.
Oh, thank you.
I'm going to get into the Whitney Houston song in a minute. But plans for this weekend? You're off to see Bond, I understand.
Yes, I'm going to have to wrap this up and put some trousers on and...
Ew, what? Oh! I'm so sorry. For anyone who's listened this far and had to hear that, I'm so sorry.
No. I'm wearing joggers. But either way, I'm going to have to dash and go see Bond and revel in the last Daniel Craig.
Enjoy it. Apparently he does have a time to die, and it's today. So all right, guys. Thanks very much. We will see you next week. Bye-bye.
Thanks. Bye.